Welcome to the Pleasure Lab with Dr. A.T. Marie. I had to make a video today because I keep looking down because I recently bought this beautiful tarot deck that I intend to use on my channel for collective readings, and it's called the Lineages of Change Tarot. And I peeled off the plastic and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do a video about the unboxing of this deck because it's so beautiful. And if you aren't aware of the Lineages of Tarot deck, if you're a Black feminist fan, stan, scholar, activist, if you just enjoy the energy, vibration, and cultural works of Black women and femmes throughout history, and how could you not, right? This tarot deck is for you. It's all about pulling from the lineages of Black feminists and femmes like Octavia Butler, contemporaries like N.K. Jemisin, Audre Lorde, June Jordan. I mean, Adrienne Marie Brown, like some of the people who are just like canonical, who've created canonical texts in the Black feminist world, but who also have just been trailblazers in their own right around Afro fantasy and science fiction and literature, like, and just living life in general, you name it, right? So I want to do an unboxing of this tarot deck and also make a video about, how to prep for a new tarot deck because tarot, depending on how much knowledge or how much you know about tarot, it's really a practice of divination. It's, each of the cards represents an archetype or an energy that can be from the most minor day-to-day things that are going on in our lives to general collective energies, like the warrior, which isn't a specific card in the deck, but just naming like these really powerful energies or these really powerful archetypes, which are like collective images in our consciousness that tell us about ourselves and tell us about our community and tell us about the people that we engage with, right? So enough about tarot. You can find a billion videos on the internet about like what is tarot and what is divination. The way that I use tarot is really through the, hybridized indigenous African centered practice of divination and really being able to pull cards and collect with energetic messages and channels that tell me about my subconscious, but also in telling me about my subconscious, tell me about the collective subconscious as well. Yeah, if I haven't introduced myself, Dr. A.T. Marie. I am a psychologist who specializes in complex post traumatic stress disorder, complex PTSD, developmental trauma, intergenerational trauma, and also how we heal trauma through creating pathways of pleasure, which we've always done. So, really accessing that ancestral wisdom, right? But anyway, there'll be more videos about all of that stuff. One of my favorite pleasure practices is tarot. Whenever I'm feeling some confusion or cloudiness or just want some guidance. And sometimes it's just like, oh, I just want to delve a little bit into the vibes. What's going on with me? What can I look forward to? What can I be thinking about? I'll pull out one of my mini tarot decks, as you can see behind my head, and I'll do a reading for myself. But first, again, I want to talk about, what are the essentials in prepping for tarot? Because when you're tapping into your own energy or the energy of the collective, you really want to get a sense of, am I grounded? Am I protected? You kind of want to set the stage for inviting in specific energy if that's what you want, or releasing specific energy and really clearing, just clearing your mindset so that what you're channeling and what you're interpreting is in alignment with your highest good and will, and is in alignment with the highest good and will of the person or people you might be working with. So, of course, one of the first things that I do when I'm prepping for my tarot deck is to have some form of cleansing, some form of energetic cleansing practice. And that can be in the form of a crystal or mineral. I really love Asia, do not forget selenite. I really love selenite, especially the gigantic wands. Selenite is one of the few minerals that you do not have to cleanse, and it cleanses other stones. So I keep selenite in the back of my home, and I keep pyrite or black tourmaline in the front of my home. I actually don't keep pyrite in the front of my home, but since it popped up, I might need to buy one, but I keep black tourmaline in the front of my home to kind of ward off negative energy, and selenite in the back of my home to funnel and cleanse energy in my energetic space. So when I'm doing a reading for myself or someone else, I will place selenite somewhere near the tarot deck. I might actually place different crystals on top of the tarot deck to charge them and to set different intentions to clear the energy. Because if I'm working with one of my personal decks, my energy is going to be on it. And as much as I love myself and as much care as I take of myself, sometimes my energy, it'd be a little off sometimes. And I want to be careful of projecting my stuff onto other people, which means I need to, one, be aware of my material, but two, be intentional about cleansing it. So I keep a selenite wand here. And I have a couple of other stones as well, like ametrine to connect with my crown chakra, with the collective consciousness, citrine for that confidence and self worth and grounding and abundance energy. I keep carnelian as well near my tarot deck, and that's really for creativity and for the flow of my emotional energy and my sacral chakra energy. So again, it's really about, knowing yourself, where do you draw your energetic power? And for me, very crown centered, very sacral centered, and also very throat chakra as well, which is why I have an ammonite, which kind of funnels and cleanses energy, and a labradorite on my hand. So again, you might think about how you want to adorn yourself when you're doing readings, and how that adornment might allow for the flow and release of energy, but also how you want to set your space. I have two selenites. What are these things? Votives, tea lights as well. And that really signifies like opening and closing the portal or the space to connect with others and to establish, a protective grid of energy. So again, there's how you set your space. I love this. There's a great energetic flow where I'm placing my cards, and also in my office space as well, which you can see is full of stuff. The other piece about it when it comes to cleansing energy is, setting your intention. And I'd raised this up before. This was actually a gift from one of my clients. It is a form of African sage, specifically South African sage. I would love to be able to pronounce the appropriate and indigenous name for this. I cannot, and therefore, so in an effort not to butcher it, I would just really encourage you to look it up. It's a very powerful, sweet, smoky smelling herb. I usually light some form of sacred smoke before I do any kind of reading and set an intention. I've already done that in this space. I have my matchbox here or my lighter. So, you want to cleanse your energy. You want to cleanse the energy in the air. And oftentimes, sacred smoke can be really great for that. When it comes to setting your stage for tarot readings and prepping your deck, just think about the elements. If I want to root into the earth and get grounded, do I have a source of kind of mineral or stone there? If I want to expand my consciousness and my energy outward, do I have some kind of sacred smoke or something that represents air? If I'm wanting to kind of nourish the waters of my body, do I have water available or a sacred tea available? Oftentimes I will blend a special tea as well. So Those are some of the things I do to just prep for receiving my tarot deck. You have waited for this moment for like 10 minutes. So let me reveal to you the beautiful Lineages of Change tarot. Oh my gosh. One, the box is this smooth, beautiful, kind of matte texture, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I've already ripped off the plastic. And then, of course, on the back, it mentions just all of these phenomenal Black feminists and femmes who've worked in literature, fiction, herbology, root work, just liberation, activism, you name it. AK Press, this is their first tarot deck. They have published quite a few of Adrienne Marie Brown's books. If you're an Adrienne Marie Brown fan, I clearly am. And they do a lot of other really good or cool, like academic science, literature intersecting work. So this was the beautiful box that the deck came in. And the moment that, you open it, and I will eventually figure out how to get like double images so you can see my hands at the same time. But oh my gosh. So when I opened this deck, this is really when I decided I have to do a video. God is change. The One of my favorite quotes, probably one of the most famous quotes from Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower. I mean, so when you open the deck, when you open the box, you see the beautiful Lineages of Change tarot book. You also see this God is change on this like embossed gold covering. Embossed, I think that's a word. Embossed. You tell me. Anyway, absolutely gorgeous. I was like, this is breathtaking when I opened it. And first thing, I took out the book. Oh my gosh. Again, this beautiful matte black. And then there's a texture too to these geometric, kind of square shapes going across the booklet. Oh my gosh, just absolutely beautiful. And unfortunately, you can see like oils from my fingers. But this is the other thing I love because as a tarot reader, a thin book does me no favors. Like it does me no favors because every deck has the energy and the intention of the creators of that deck. I have learned that from working with really this deck here, the Tarot of the Orisha. Understanding as my first tarot deck, I was way out of my depth. Didn't know anything about really Orisha or Santeria in particular, and realized like the creators came from a completely different context. So the way I worked with the deck, its energy, how it spoke to me was very different from sometimes the interpretations in the booklet. So this book, beautiful. Just going to show you the 10 of Earth. I mean, in the tradition of like root work of just Black feminism, womanism, not only do you have this incredible art and very powerful imagery that gives you both like keywords and descriptions, you also have a connection to the root itself or a connection to um, the animal or plant element that is tied to that card. Absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait. I know how I will be spending my time. I mean, there's 224 pages until you get to the like editor information and this booklet. So absolutely beautiful. I already ripped, I was excited. I already ripped one of the papers off of this, but right underneath you see both sets of cards, Four of Earth and the Fool. The artwork again, it's this matte texture that feels phenomenal. I really, really, really wish that I could do this more justice, just so you could see the vibrancy of the colors. And along the sides, which I love and am obsessed with, gold. Oh my goodness. So I bought this deck specifically because I knew I was starting the pleasure lab, that I wanted to shift my, kind of attention from focusing on trauma to focusing on pleasure. as the antidote to trauma, not the antithesis, but the antidote, and really like troubling the ways that we think about pleasure and trauma. I bought this deck because I knew there was going to be so much wisdom for me and for the community that I'm, hoping to build and reach and support. And just look at these beautiful cards. Seven of Fire. Oh my gosh. And I'm looking at this the first time with you. Nine of Air. I can feel the energy off of these cards. They are so powerful. Two of Air, just gorgeous. So on this side, you can see this is the deck of the minor arcana. And, minor arcana mostly speak to our day to day lives, minor energies. Gonna rip this off. And then you have the major arcana, starting with zero, the Fool, the card that represents Aries, if I do say so myself. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you're able to take this in, but it just, whoever they commissioned to do the artwork, I'm going to have to look into it. Beautiful, but gorgeous, Afro-centered artwork, powerful imagery, incredible, sleek design. And you can see the influences of Octavia Butler's text as kind of like really the foundation of this deck, even though they're including so many different traditions of like Black women, femmes, like wisdom, oracles, root workers into this deck. You can see, the God seed here, which comes from, of course, Parable of the Sower. So they even have their own like spin on major arcana, on the major arcana. And this like collaging, beautiful collaging work. The tower. So I'm I am blown away by this deck. I cannot wait to use this deck with you, for you. Oh wow. Oh yeah. I hear the channeling, like I hear it now speaking to me, like ready to work with your energies, ready to do readings with you, for our pleasure, for our well-being, for our worthiness, and incredibly excited to be working with this deck. It feels like a gift. It feels like an honor to have access to such incredible tools at this time. So, once I've opened my deck, once I've cleansed my deck, which is the next step, I have a conversation with the deck. So, just going to do some cleansing. I might speed up through this part or edit this out. We'll see. I kind of wish this was alive. Like, I can't wait till I'm at the place where I can just hop on live and there's some folks there and we can be in community together and we can chat. But, setting the intention to cleanse and clear the energy of this deck in alignment with the Most High Good and Will. I typically allow the smoke to cover whatever it is I need to cleanse. And once I feel that it is encased, I just trust in the process. I say, go with what feels right, go with what feels good to you. Your intuitive knowing is the most powerful thing you have available to you. Two of water, like I can't help but, oh, two of cups, how beautiful with three cowrie shells. So sometimes I'll split the deck into a couple of different sections to just feel like I'm really getting into the deck. Again, to cleanse that energy. Some people go through the entire deck and go card by card to get to know the deck. I don't have that patience. I know. I would love to say I did, but I don't. I might sit down and read some cards, but I feel for me that the best way to get to know a deck is to use it. and understand that, again, tarot is a tool. These are tools, these are resources. Um, and it's a relationship like we have with any object or anything energetically in our lives. So once I feel satisfied that the deck is cleansed, I'll go ahead and put out the sacred smoke, thanking the ancestors, angels, and guides for being with us and cleansing this deck for its highest good and highest will, in alignment with the intention of divination, the intention of community, the intention of care. That is what's flowing for me in this moment. Another thing that I'll do when I'm prepping a tarot deck for use is to get to know the deck, like actually have a conversation. So here's my wonderful handwriting, how to prep your tarot deck. And I usually ask like a few questions. So, what is your purpose? How should I work with your energy? How do you want us to work together? And how can I get to know you better? How can I get to know the tarot deck better? So, here's some ways that I prep my deck, the ways that I build a relationship with my deck. And if you'd like, go ahead and stick around. And I'm actually going to ask this deck these questions and tell you what I hear. So we can get to know the deck together. But whether or not you're um, a big shuffler or not, honestly, at this point, I've become much better at shuffling tarot cards than I have. Oh my gosh. And also, let's just look at this shuffle. Let's just look at that. Oh, so beautiful. Y'all. Yes, I'm Southern. It is so smooth. It is so smooth. I've definitely had decks that were oddly shaped and were difficult to shuffle before. Hmm. This Justice card is already wanting to fly out, which I think tells me a lot about, um, yeah, it just tells me a lot about this card. I think it's definitely going to be used to help people find balance, to help us understand our own sense of justice in our lives, especially in this time when I think collectively a lot of folks are struggling to find balance, find peace, and figure out what they want in life. So now that I've shuffled a couple of times, I'll go ahead and um, I guess I'm more of a, is it called sprayer? Like someone who shuffles and then you let the cards fly out. I prefer a good fly out. But sometimes with cards, they'll drop, they'll just come drop out in many different ways. And what I've learned to do over time is just trust that however the cards fall is typically how they're meant to fall. And if I'm like, that's too many, or I don't think that's quite right, that's also okay too. I have learned that you cannot get away from the message in tarot. There are some decks, they're going to tell you the truth regardless of how you feel. So you might as well take the first card. Um, but just in connecting with the guides, connecting with the energy and this tarot deck, connecting with the essence and archetype even of Octavia Butler, visionary, powerful. What is the purpose of this deck? First card. What do we say? Like, you can't make this stuff up. Again, I'm going to find a way where you can see my hands at the same time, but you notice like my eyes were closed and I was just present with you all. Justice. The purpose of this deck is absolutely going to be, purpose. Um, the purpose of this deck is going to be purpose. The purpose of this deck is absolutely going to be rooted in the archetype and energy of justice. Justice is Libran. Justice is balancing the scales. Um, Justice is what I think so many of us are um, hoping for. I know I'm craving justice and balance in my life and trying to figure out ways to have both, have my needs met and also serve and care for others, right? Which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this new YouTube channel, The Pleasure Lab. So, I'm having a sense that the deck kind of wants me to shuffle again for the next question. If you remember, it's how should I work with your energy? So we know that the purpose of this deck is going to be rooted in the archetype of justice, Ma'at, and the Egyptian archetype. Now we want to know, how should I work with your energy? Some decks, they're there to give you guidance. Some decks are there to tell you more about the collective. Other decks are there to, sorry, it was like a squirrel or a bird, I don't know. Some decks are there to tell you about love and romance, some finances. Decks have different purposes and they have a different way of communicating. I have there it is, Hoodoo Tarot deck that, it is so good. It's when I need that concrete material guidance and it tells me about the medicine I need too. So, how should I work with your energy? How should I work? How should I best work with your energy? Again, these cards are just slipping through my fingers. The matte texture makes them so easy. I'll back up, like just so easy for, ooh, you saw it. A beautiful pool. The lovers! I can't help. I'm gonna laugh my headphones out of my ears because they never fit. Oh my gosh, the lovers, y'all. Probably should stop moving the card, but look at this. Oh, I can work with some love. I can work with some love. So some other things about tarot, is that if you're into the numerology as well, you can also get a sense of the numbering of the cards. If the numbers are going up or down, or um, even just thinking about what the numbers represent. Like the Justice card is number 11, and 11 is what do they call those in numerology? When you have like double numbers, which kind of reduce to a single number, but 11 is a master number as well. So this, when I think about justice and I think about the number 11, that divine balance, and again, that really like higher calling, that higher vibration, and working with the energy of love. The lovers is not only about love. I want to say that the lovers actually represents Gemini energy, which makes sense to me. Communication, information, and exchange of knowledge. I'm a Venus in Gemini, so laughing at myself. So I love the exchange of information and information. I am, gosh, what do they call sapiosexual? One of those people who is absolutely stimulated and aroused by the exchange of information and knowledge. One day I'm going to figure out how this opposite camera stuff is going because it's tripping me out. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so sapiosexual sexuality aside, lovers of intellect. The lover's card is also about decision making as well, and guidance. So sometimes it can mean you're making a choice. So I think this, it's not only going to be about the lovers. I mean, just look at that energy. It's giving creativity, connection, um, the purple. Ooh. And as I was talking, the third card flew out. Okay, I'm tripping over here. So the third card was like, how can I know you better? That was the third question. The seed of earth. The seed of earth. I'm going to look up what this in particular, wait, and it's another number 11. So in the traditional tarot deck, each card has a specific number. Corresponds with a specific numerological like energy. but I can see that this tarot deck doesn't specifically follow that energy. And I'm not sure what the seed of earth means in terms of their interpretation, but I was looking at the lover's card and I wanted to know more about the flower there because, choice, decision making. And I was looking at this flower and I was like, is this an iris? Is this like, what is this flower in particular? And someone tell me maybe in the comments if you know what this flower is. It does remind me of the iris, but I'm not exactly sure, which is actually the Tennessee state flower and tattooed on my body. So if it's an iris, again, more signs. But how can I know this deck better? Absolutely communing with nature, which I'm a nature girly anyway. I'm literally a tree hugger. I have to be outdoors every day. It is the dopamine. Yes, reward. Yes. It is also serotonin. It is balance, it is connection, it is beauty, it is brightness. Sometimes it's frigid and cold, but it's being outdoors and breathing and being expansive. So I can tell that this is going to be a very um, stabilizing, kind of grounded tarot deck. And it's definitely going to speak to things in the material world, like seed of the earth. Absolutely. That's how we're going to be working with this deck. Wow. And it really did zoom in for me. So we have one more question. And that last question is like, what is our work together? I like to keep it open. And sometimes I'll rephrase when I'm getting to know a tarot deck, I'll rephrase my questions because maybe want more clarity than when I first wrote it down. So this question is more about collaboration. Like, what is it that you want from me, in our work together? Well, it has a lot of answers to that. So, what is it that you want from me and our work together? Okay. And it gave me two cards. The nine of fire. The nine of fire. Ooh, I'll figure out. Okay. Nine of fire. Also, minor arcana would be the nine of wands as well. Mm. Okay, if this isn't tapping into the collective consciousness, I don't know what is. I mean, literally from the eye of the spirit, of the soul. I was going to say the shadow, but just because it's shadowy doesn't mean it's the shadow, right? Like it's just essence and soul connecting with the minds of others. So it wants me to use this. We're in our work together, we will be making some important connections between my individual consciousness and the collective consciousness, which are both and the same. And it also gave me the hermit. And isn't she beautiful, elegant, austere, even? But there is something soft and safe and protected and absolutely earthy in this energy. And I don't know, I could have more, I think there's a resemblance there. But the Hermit card is exactly as it says. It's the medicine of with retreat. It's the medicine of going into our inner sanctums and going into the wisdom of our silence. Oh my goodness. And as I lay these cards down, I notice that they're also both nines. Yeah. And the nine is right before the 10. It's kind of that last step of looking out. I'm seeing kind of like the nine of earth, actually, like looking out at all the seeds that we have sown, everything that we have planted right before we reap that 10. And the 10 is the culmination, the manifestation of what we want, whatever we're manifesting and desire. So I know that I will be speaking some healing medicine into the collective consciousness. I also know that, it's going to ask me to go within into my hermit energy, of which I am no stranger, and in fact am absolutely a fan. So um, I am incredibly excited to take this journey with this tarot deck, and I will upload a picture of the final spread so that you get to see the layout. I'll also figure out how to get more of the like tarot into the photos, into the video, so that you'll be able to follow along as I pull cards. But once I've laid down my spread, I will then go back. I'll write down my channeled messages, because sometimes what we channel as we look at the different cards will be different from the interpretation in the book. But just remember, the interpretation in the book is a guide. Our intuitive wisdom is our knowing, right? That's our essence. That's how we're relating to the archetypes in the deck. So thank you so much for being with me as I brought this tarot deck into my space, into my world, but also into yours as well. I am so looking forward to using this tool as a way of being in the collective consciousness, and a way of us getting to know ourselves and our lineages, and tapping into the healing powers of our ancestors and oracles and guides. So I'm going to take some time to write down these answers, and sit with the energy in these cards, and allow things to unfold as they always do. If you have any questions about prepping your tarot deck, prepping your space, grounding yourself energetically, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Feel free to shoot me a message there, or you can also follow me on Instagram at the Pleasure Lab HQ. Again, I'm Dr. A.T. Marie. This is the Pleasure Lab, and don't forget to click like, subscribe, share with a friend. This is an entirely new brand. This is entirely new um, YouTube channel. This is something I'm branching out and doing outside of my private practice as a psychologist, so that I can make the psychology of pleasure more accessible, and we can build community together, because I definitely want to be in community with folks who want to feel good and want to practice feeling good, not as a way to bypass pain, but as a way to feel empowered through it. So thank you so much for being with me in this beautiful tarot deck, Lineages of Change. Thank you, AK Press. Thank you, Octavia Butler. Thank you, Adrienne Marie Brown, all the collaborators who made this deck possible, because it is absolutely fantastic. So happy healing.